How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping out another video. Right, guys, story in the Independent now. Headline reads, plan to build new prisons questioned as watchdog reveals squalor in exceptionally violent HMP Birmingham. Delinquency was rife and inmates lived in fear at fundamentally unsafe jail, Chief Inspector reveals. Plans to build 2 large prisons have been called into question after Watchdog issued a damning report on how one of Britain's biggest jails descended in just 18 months into appalling, chaotic conditions likened to a war zone. Penal reform group said the deterioration at HMP Birmingham demonstrated the fragile nature of big prisons after the Chief Inspector of Prisons warned ministers against failing to learn lessons in their rush to improve conditions. Inmates walked around like zombies while high on drugs, or locked themselves in their cells out of fear, the watchdog by Peter Clark revealed. Peter Clark is the Chief Executive of Her Majesty's Prison, Her Majesty's Inspector of Prisons even. This summer, the jail became the first privately run jail to be taken back under government control when Mr. Clark invoked a rarely used urgent notification. Well, they're not rare at all, they've been handed out readily this year. Rarely used urgent notification demanding immediate action when it was found to be exceptionally violent and fundamentally unsafe. Against all 4 tests of standards, which are safety, respect, purposeful activity and rehabilitation and release planning, outcomes were judged as poor, the lowest assessment. This is only the second time we have made such judgments. Conditions at Birmingham were among the worst we've ever seen in recent years, Mr. Clark found at the time. Publishing his full report on August's unannounced inspection, he has now renewed his call for an independent review of how the prison had gone so far downhill so fast. Inspectors said conditions were among the worst he had seen in recent years. Drug taking was barely concealed, they found, and the prison was found to be failing its responsibility to protect the public by preparing prisoners adequately for release. Mr. Clark's report also stated levels of violence were the highest for any local jail in the UK, with some inmates saying they felt unsafe, even behind locked cell doors. After ministers gave 28 days to improve it, they took back control of it from private contractor G4S. The previous inspection in 2017, February, had found a prison still reeling from a riot in late 2016 that caused at least £2 million worth of damage, but with a clear determination to recover and rebuild. The contrast with findings of the inspection in August this year could not have been starker, Mr. Clark said. Since 2016, reports have emerged of soaring violence, hundreds of assaults, low staff morale, rat infestations, a flood of the zombie drug spice and dirty living conditions. When the jail was taken back into public control, a new super governor was appointed, 30 more officers were sent in and the jailer population reduced by 300. Francis Crook, who's the Chief Executive of the Howard League for Penal Reform, said, "This is a prison that is failing to keep prisoners safe, failing to keep staff safe and failing to keep the public safe. Large prisons are fragile and every one of the large prisons in the country has proven to be problematic. If you have a massive failing institution with thousands of men going through it, the damage it can do is beyond recognition." This calls into question the government's decision to build 2 new big prisons contrary to all the evidence. The right approach is to reduce the prison population and prevent more people being swept into deeper currents of crime, violence and despair. Mr. Clark said in his full report he'd hoped the importance of understanding the deterioration and learning from it are not overlooked. He said in his urgent notification to ministers in August, he made it clear that he lacked confidence in the prison to make improvements. He had warned of an inertia that seemed to have gripped those responsive for monitoring and managing the contractors and those that meant to be delivering action on the ground. Why is it those with responsibility for Birmingham either did not see there was a problem unfolding or seemed incapable of acting decisively when they did, Mr. Clark added. When they went in 4 months ago, inspectors found the prison was exceptionally violent and fundamentally unsafe, with many prisoners and staff living and working in fear. Many frightened and vulnerable prisoners self-isolated in locked cells but could not escape the bullying and intimidation as urine and faeces were thrown through their door panels. Delinquency was rife and individuals could behave badly with near impunity. Wings often felt chaotic and rowdy. One prisoner described it as a war zone, inmates walking around like zombies high on spice. Controlling the prison was tedious, with staff often not knowing where prisoners were. Staff were poorly led and lacked the confidence of the competence to set about retrieving the situation. Many prisoners lived in squalor and little was done to adequately occupy them. Mr. Clark said the challenges facing the prison are huge. Managers and staff need support if they are to turn the establishment around. Prisons Minister Rory Stewart said, "We took decisive action at HMP Birmingham to urgently improve safety and living conditions, reducing the population and appointing a new governor, Paul Newton, who is working tirelessly to drive up standards. We've conducted a full and thorough investigation of the situation at Birmingham to understand the causes, learn lessons and prevent it happening again. We'll keep a close eye on progress to ensure Birmingham returns to being a place of stability and reform. We won't hand back the prison until we consider it safe to do so." That is a long one. Right. The prison should never go back to G4S. They're not fit to run a bath. They're not fit to run a bath. They've been in the media for a immigration removal place down in, is it Brook House? There, the London Olympics, they fucked up there. Tagging on an industrial scale, they messed up there. They're just corrupt and they're not fit to run a bath, guys. Why would you put it back into the private sector, in the public sector? Obviously, Her Majesty's Prison. You've got public prisons, guys, and you've got private prisons. They're both failing. They're both as bad as each other, to be honest. But it's a lot more laid back in a private prison from a former prison's perspective, anyway. HMP are very regimented, and the officers, for the most part, have swapped their personality for a set of keys. Yeah, it's just the way it goes. That prison's disgusting. Now, when I was in Forest Bank in 2016, when the riot happened and stuff, we was watching it on the news and stuff like that. They got our prison was used as one of the dispersal units for the Winson Green riot. The jail's known locally as Winson Green. Those that don't know call it Birmingham Prison or HMP Birmingham. It's known as the Green or Winson Green. Never been in that prison myself, but I've been locked up with lads that were involved in the riot. As soon as they arrived at Forest Bank, they tried to separate them all, but the lads were like, "Come on, mate, let's fucking smash the wing up, mate. I ain't doing this, mate, no more, mate. Fucking hell, I've had enough me, mate. I've been in for fucking 20 years, 10 years. And they just was going on a sick one, man. They was trying to recruit us and stuff. We was cleaners, they didn't have long left to do. So I just doing my jail work and stuff, working on a wing, being exploited, working 7 days a week for £10.25 a week. After they took £1 for me telly. But like I say, guys, the prison's not fit for purpose by the sounds of things. I know former prisoners from the prison that I speak to that have all said the same. You know what I mean? It echoes. The Her Majesty's Inspector of Prisons report, they're very honest and they're truthful. I rate them over the IMB. The IMB is the Independent Monitoring Board that are not very independent at all. But yeah, it's just shocking report, guys, like I say. And why would you bring a prison up to scratch and then hand it back to them jokers, G4S, who are getting fat and rich off prisoners suffering and prisoners' families suffering? Answer the question. Link in the description. Like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.